Hey folks, welcome back to the Roswell UFO Conference, and as you know, we're working with the Roswell UFO Festival. The overcoat is off, the man in black stuff is off. This is the last of 4 days of lectures with Mr. James Bartley coming up, and we're clocking out pretty soon after our panel discussion, which will be in here 3 o'clock beginning after this lecture, give or take. You know how things are running, and we may have to redo the stage a little bit. But since I'm in this, on your way out of the convention center, this is our actual UFO Festival Committee shirt. And you would not believe, since last September, 9-10 months of people that have been that already had full-time jobs, putting in first 5 or 10, then 10 or 20, 30 and more hours a week to make everything you've seen happen in Roswell happen. And even those things that didn't happen, we still put a lot of work into making them not happen. But anyway. But when you see anybody in a purple shirt, give them a big hug, put a $100 bill in their pocket, whatever. Thank them, because the mayor has done it in front of the press, the tireless, countless hours that everybody on the committee has put in. But we appreciate it. We've heard everything great about this. It's bigger than the 50th. You know, this is the best organized, most high-end, blah, 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 blah. And I didn't do all that. I got brought into this position in the last 5 or 6 weeks, but I've always been on the committee. You see a purple shirt, they need a hug. I'm just telling you. But with all that said, I didn't print an official bio for Mr. Bartley, and you remember how we built it on the website until he arrived safely, which almost didn't happen. No lie, he can tell the story if he wishes. We weren't even going to mention James Bartley's name, and plus we have a flair for the drama, and you fell for it. So, because honestly, he's not anyone you've heard a lot of, but the program I do, livefromroswell.com, we were discussing MILABS, military abductions, with Leah Haley one day. And she recommended get him on for the second portion of it, too, because I had not heard of him. But both Leah Haley and Eve Lorgen told me, yeah, here's someone you want to talk to. We had a really incredible, mind-blowing discussion. And I knew the guy knew the field really well. I read a paper he did on it. And ever since that program, this is like my 4th program, I think, with Leah, we've been planning to have him here, but without publicizing his name. He definitely knows his stuff on the underside, the dark side of all of this stuff that has to do with possibly military abductions, possibly New World Order conspiracies and all that. The title alone says enough for it, but I would just like you to welcome up someone that is not familiar to most of you, but his work is very solid, and he actually knows how to give a presentation as well. Mr. James Bartley.
Thank you very much for coming here. Can everyone hear me? This is truly a beautiful place, and I respect your understanding of the significance of this weekend. You could have been anywhere this weekend, but you chose to be here. And that tells me a lot about you. It tells me that you're a very intelligent crowd that really has an understanding of what's important. Now, the information I'm going to share with you today is very controversial. It's very negative, profoundly negative. But I will throw a bone out at the end and leave you with a happy message, because I don't want you to leave here, you know, contemplating suicide or anything. But the information I'm going to share is information that is not common in the UFO community. Most of the other alien abduction researchers, for whatever reason, have deliberately left out a lot of this information. Information relative to the reptilians, to military abductions, and MILABS for short. MILABS are legitimate alien abductees who, for reasons which I will explain, are kidnapped, trained, and utilized as deep black operatives by elements of the military intelligence community. And this information has come with a price. There's many people I know, some who've literally been killed, and some who've been harassed unmercifully, not just from human intelligence agencies, but from the reptilians and the aliens themselves. Any half-rate UFO researcher can be monitored or harassed by deep black elements of the human military intelligence community. However, when a researcher or an abductee starts getting harassed directly by the reptilians, for example, you know that that person is crossed over into the threshold of the big leagues. And I will go into details about that in my talk. Now, before I delve into the speech, there's certain issues that I need to raise. one of which is the issue of credibility. For too long, the American people have obtained their information about various and sundry subjects from patently non-credible sources. And just to give you a few examples, I'd like to share from history examples where the academic community, the scientific community, and establishment historians have all collaborated to, in effect, dumb down the public. Pearl Harbor conspiracies, JFK conspiracies, they're still being maintained today because the full truth about any of those subjects were to be revealed, it would undermine other conspiracies that they are tangentially connected to. Now, one of the problems I've always had is with people who are always trying to big shot me. People that are PhDs, people that are scientists, people that are members or former members of the aerospace community. They show up at these conferences, thumping on their chest like Tarzan. Here I am, big shot researcher. You have to listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Time after time, in examples such as the MIA issue, missing prisoners of war, atomic veterans who've been utilized in radiation experiments or have taken part in above-ground atmospheric nuclear tests, veterans of the Southeast Asian conflict that were afflicted with what's been known as the Agent Orange syndrome from exposure to dioxin, and most recently, Gulf War syndrome, which has come about through the use of an anthrax vaccine. There's an excellent book about the subject called Vaccine A, written by someone named Matsumoto. And what all these subjects have in common is when these people that have been afflicted with one sort of ailment or another has come forward to the VA department, to the rest of the medical scientific community, what has always happened without exception is that some establishment shill, some scientist, some academic always pops up and dismisses out of hand the claims of the sufferer of Agent Orange, the sufferer of the radiation experiments, the sufferer of the anthrax vaccine. There's a gigantic dung heap of these establishment shills that have sought to suppress and downplay and marginalize any information which contradicts the official spin. Most often as not, the excuse has been used of a psychological disorder, a psychological aberration on the part of veterans suffering from Gulf War syndrome, veterans suffering from Agent Orange exposure. Things such as the deliberate disappearance of military records of some of these individuals who've suffered from radiation exposure has been utilized. Now, it's interesting, when Bob Lazar came forward with his astonishing claims about his work at S4, and it turned out that his educational records couldn't be found, the debunkers all had a good laugh and said, well, he can't prove that he's a scientist, he can't prove he worked at Los Alamos. But that modus operandi has been used against people who've been exposed to radiation, who've been exposed to dioxins from Agent Orange, who've been exposed in a number of other instances. It's not a new method of dealing with potential whistleblowers. There's a corporate financial agenda at work which strives to attain global centralized control at the expense of the individual.